Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Taiji, where we may, fingers crossed, be able to complete this area below the waterfall today. I think we're actually fairly close. So let's see, this thing's done already. Okay, there's still these puzzles to work out. So, first things first, so it's tempting to do this, right? But if we do that, then this ends up being dark, and then we want these to be lit, and that doesn't work because then the white shape and the black shape are the same. So we can just do this, though. Yeah, that works just fine. I think what's supposed to throw you off there is thinking that the black and white have to be in different shapes. Like you're sort of like unconsciously making the assumption that you're trying to draw two different shapes for them. Okay, these two are both lit. And it is possible... Hey, here's a question. Okay, yes. This is considered a valid rotation of itself. It doesn't have to be a different orientation. It just has to be any valid orientation of the light colored shape. Okay, good to know. So what we can do here is this. No, wait. Sorry, this has to be on one of the ends of the shape. So this shape here versus that shape there is a little tricky. Because obviously there's no way to make this just two. If we do that, then I have to try to draw an edge for it, and then that breaks everything. But we can't do this, making the other black line shape that, because then we have no way of drawing this thing that isn't disruptive. We can't just do this, even though rotationally this works for the white shapes, because there's no way to make the black shape do that. If we do something like this... No, there's not an available rotation for this thing that's going to work. Shoot. This is really interesting. It's really interesting that I'm having such a hard time with this because it's such a small puzzle. There's so little possibility space here. So it definitely can't be a thing where these three shapes are inside the same area, because if this is lit up, it becomes impossible to satisfy this black square. So we know this is dark. Has to be. What else do we know? This or this is dark. We don't know which one. We can't light this space, because if we light this space, this becomes impossible to satisfy now. So that must be dark. That works, right? Because that shape is already rotationally fine. Yeah, that shape satisfies both the black marks. Okay. Just had to take a moment to actually think about it, is all. So we know these two are dark. These two are lit. And I guess we know this has to be lit. This has to be an edge for that shape. So this remains dark as well. I guess it's true here as well. And then can we actually just leave it like that? Well, okay, if I don't light up this square, then this would have to be lit. So we do have to form a border there, which means that's a little tricky though, huh? Because if this shape is not actually possible. Because if I try to leave it like this is going to glom onto that shape and cause a problem. So that part still seems right, but we can't just make this a square either, because then I have to light up this square to actually form the edges of this, which is impossible for this thing to copy. And these are not rotatable. This has to be dark. But I guess this doesn't have to be light. Then once again, we're in this situation where this doesn't actually have to be a different shape. And in fact, this is totally functional, isn't it? Make those light, and then these dark. Yeah, and just draw the edges in around those. It's always the damn Tetris Z shape. Or, this is the S shape. The answer is always the Tetris S shape. Except here. So those are all dark. These are all dark. This... Could this be lit? Could this be connected to this shape? If it was like... Well, no, I think that would be problematic. Right? Obviously, we can't copy this shape over to here in this way because it would require us to fill in squares off the bottom right. But and these are not rotatable figures. I was going to give a reason it wouldn't work if we rotated it, but never mind. Doesn't matter. Shit can't be rotated. So this is actually going to have to be dark this time, for sure. Right, that at least is true here. I think we have one of these things again. Yeah, easy. All right, well, I'm going to do this one last here. Okay, so this can't be lit. Must be dark, which means that has to be dark. Because again, we'd be lighting up stuff off the edge of the map here. This also has to be dark. Because if that could be lit, then we'd be in trouble over here. So that extends this shape into this direction. And then... let's see here. This space can't be a part of this figure. But also, it can't be dark, because if it's dark, it creates an infinitely repeating figure with the white lines. So this space has to be lit, and it must be a separator. Which means this space is dark for sure. And as such, so is that. This could be either dark or light, and it would work just fine, I think. So, yeah, like if that's lit, that crawls up there. We add this to this shape, that's fine. This space is going to have to be lit because it has to form that same border. And then fill that in, and that's a valid answer. I guess I don't know that. I was gonna say, hey, look, it's this shape again, but actually, this one could be dark, and this shape here is already lit up, just to sort of throw you off. Because of a little bit of shape math here, we know those ones are like that. This would have to be lit if this one is dark. And then that pretty much works. I guess we have to fill in this space to give this thing a buffer, but actually that's just fine. In all 4 locations, filling that space in works. Okay, these are all rotatable. So one of these shapes could very well just be a single block, right? Whatever this is, both of these shapes... Well, I was going to say both of these shapes have to not be, but actually we don't know that. That might not be true. I mean, I'm given so few guidelines on this one that actually that is the problem I'm having. There's too many possibilities. I got to just start trying stuff. Trying to like map it out in my head. There's too many things that it could be. So let's say the black lines are just a single square. I guess that's like immediately problematic though, because that would make this shape have to expand into both of these directions, and then also this direction and also this direction to avoid expanding those shapes at all. And obviously we don't have enough room to do a 5 square figure over each white thing. It is interesting that the white lines in this puzzle are in a position such that we could we could form 2 rectangles, and this actually this doesn't quite work. These shapes are not rotations of each other, they're mirrors of each other. Never mind, that doesn't even function. It wouldn't have worked for the black lines anyway. It was just interesting looking. So, okay, it is probably the case that neither one of these is single square. This is probably not good because this... Yeah, this is going to force that to be the same shape. Which obviously doesn't work. They must be different shapes. I think these bits up against the wall tell us a whole bunch because they really limit the kinds of shapes you can build. Nothing can jut out from the symbol in more than 2 directions. So there's no like this stuff. So we could try if we do something like this, we are consigning ourselves for sure to this one having to be dark and this one having to be dark as well. Probably being like this. Right, and then that works. We fill in the spaces around that. And then this has to be a shape like this. This has to be a shape like this. This is a problem though. This tile can't be lit and can't be dark. It doesn't work in either state. Because either way, it's adding to one of the white shapes. Okay. My guess is though it's going to be something like that, where the white and the black figures are inside the same shape in at least one place. And it's just going to be a matter of like arrangement. So what would be a functional arrangement? It could just be like, what if it's straight lines? Now that runs into problems right away because this has to be at the end of the line, right? And then how am I actually separating like this space here from this? If I do that, no, if I do that, I'm connecting the shapes. Never mind. Like, it is going to have to be a relatively simple shape. Right, nothing like this is going to work. We just don't have the room for it. Especially considering that, like, it's almost certainly the case that this black shape is going to be in a figure that contains one of the white shapes next to it. There's almost no way to avoid it. The only way we could avoid it is by black either being single square, which I think we already figured out doesn't work, or black being double square, which also doesn't work because it makes white also double square. So no, because there's no way for this to be in the middle of a side. This one's actually, I don't want to say challenging because I think a lot of this one is just sort of like intuitively grasping what the right shape is, but I am definitely not doing that. I'm having a hard time doing that. You know what? Let's go do this thing and come back. So this is a walkable puzzle. Whatever our solution is here, it has to be walkable, which is really interesting. So what is a way that we're going to be able to get between these two teal lines while leaving a shape behind that will be able to connect there? Because like the deal here is going to have to be that one of these shapes is lit up and the other two are in negative space, right? Or maybe that, you know what? Maybe all three of them are in negative space. That totally works, right? Oh, no, sorry. These are not rotatable. Right. So then it's probably like a really small, simple shape, right? Yeah, it's going to be this one that's in the middle is not, I'm not going to be able to make it. We're close. We're awfully close. But yeah, for it to be that shape, I would have to be able to touch 3 corner tiles, which cannot happen. And the fact that that cannot happen actually constrains us from a lot of shapes that might be usable. What if it's exactly the other way, though? Like if we were to... Because if we make it just a 1x2 like this... No, turn it. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I fill in the space here. This doesn't quite work. So close. It can't be a 3 with the line in the middle because this and this being open means there's an area over here that I just can't cut off. But it definitely can't move up or down because of the fact that, you know... Can I make them singletons? No, this poses a problem immediately. But what if that corner is the last space? Nope, we're going to get into trouble right here, too. Well, except, I guess I'm being a little silly here, because we don't have to completely fill in the whole map. We just have to fill in all the spaces around the tiles for that to work. Yeah, this is... Here we go, here we go. That took a little bit of doing. But yeah, you can just make them all singles. I think that's the only shape for them that works. I think. Let's step over to here. And then this is the last bank of puzzles that we haven't looked at yet. I had looked at these and had not made not made even a tiny bit of headway. I will apologize here in advance. This episode is probably going to get clipped a little short because the Ninja Turtles episode that I recorded before it went way longer than I was expecting. And I did compress my time just a little bit. Okay. I'm really bad at these ones where we have to draw the shape through a pair of figures. Right? That's legal for all the stuff on this side of the puzzle. And then this shape has to be dark. So it can be like... This can be dark. If we fill this in... I think that's actually legal. Yeah, that totally works. Oh, this is cute. Okay, so... Right? That has to exist that way. Then we make these all dark, which makes these all lit. Which works just fine, because the diamonds then are paired with each other, and yeah. That one was pretty easy. There's really only one way a lot of that could go. Alright, so if we keep this dark, these two are lit up. This has to merge with something that is its color. Ah, but these have to... Yeah, this is the tricky part. Shoot. So then this wants to be dark, so that and then that. Because the yellow has to be in the same shape as this does. But I have to separate... this shape from this part, because otherwise both of the diamonds are going to see three shapes that contain their color. So it's pretty hugely problematic, actually. Because, like, if we break the connection completely between the two shapes, there's no way to not also break the connection between the diamonds. Is there a way to have these two squares actually be different? The two petal squares actually be different levels of litness? So if we make you light, you're no longer merging with that thing. And we end up having to toggle everything until I've flipped the other one as well, right? Right, because we flip this, then we have to turn that on at least, which means we have to turn one of these off. Yeah, if I do this, it breaks the pairing. If I do this, then I have to change the color of this thing, and also that breaks the pairing. Maybe I am being too quick to assume that these match up the way that I think they do. What if it's like this, right? This needs one more lit square adjacent to it. Yeah, it would have to be this one, which again breaks our pairing. So we know those two tiles are necessarily the same color, which means these two have to be lit no matter what. And this has to be this litness, or we could connect it through. I have a question. Okay, so the yellow and the purple diamonds do consider this to be valid pairing. They each see at least exactly one of the other shape. So maybe something like that is the answer. Like, we leave this dark, we leave this dark, we light this one. And actually that right there is a valid answer, isn't it? Yeah. That was the trick. You just had to realize that they needed to pair with the same thing. These like fences with the ivy growing on them, I don't think they're anything, but they're so conspicuous. There's so much stuff in the environment in this game that is so conspicuous. Oh, right. This thing, which is a nightmare. Okay, so there's this bank of puzzles here, and then there's some stuff at the north end of this area. Oh, hey, it's a human. It's a brain. I just realized this is a brain. Okay, so if we know this has to be dark, then this has to be dark, and these have to be lit, right? Because this is going to be another one of those things where we have to make a single rotatable shape that's running through the whole maze here. So it's going to include the yellow shapes, no matter how we build it. Because we can either go this way, in which case we grab that shape, or we can go this way, in which case we have grabbed a yellow shape as well. So yeah, we're getting the yellows no matter what. We're going to want to avoid and enclose the pip tiles here. There's nowhere near enough of them to cross the puzzle in the way that we need to. So I feel relatively certain that that's got to be dark. Well, okay. These things don't, though. They don't necessarily need to be dark. They just need to be their own shapes. They could be lit if they're also separated. As long as it's also separated from the big lit shape by some negative space. Right? Like, right now, this is a valid way to do that. Can we keep it that way? Oh, here's a problem. This is going to connect to that in a way that we can't avoid. Oh, that makes things immediately impossible, doesn't it? Hold on. Okay. So this has to be dark. We know that because there has to be another. There has to be a dark white shape to connect with this one. So this is what's given to us initially. Oh, actually, okay, I am being silly here. I was thinking it was going to have to be one shape because in my head I was like, well, we have to run it through the middle here. But if I connect to this, we're going to have this thing inside of two shapes. We're inside of a shape that already has two black figures. If we're trying to wind a thing through the middle, this has to remain dark, but this has to be lit. How do we even? These shapes are black, but the way they're numbered, there's no way for one of them to connect here without there being multiples of them in the area. But this seems like a huge problem, right? Because it is the case that in order to expand this toward picking up the other lit... Yeah, the other lit white shape is in here. So how on earth do I do this? Because, like, this isn't going to work, right? Yeah, the black space is in with too many things. Also, that's not even the right number of spaces for that number of pips. So how does this work? This has to connect with exactly one other black square. These two absolutely do have to be in the same shape. My initial feeling was right. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Hold on. Because maybe it's like this? Well, no. Because in order for these shapes to be valid rotations of each other, like building out along this axis is building this way, but we can't build in this direction. Or we can't build in this direction at all because it's building this way. And we can't build in this direction at all because it would be building this way. This is the only way the rotation works out. This area continues to be very challenging. Let's take a quick look at the other ones here. Okay, so this one's got a ton of subtractors. It's going to be terrifying to do. We might be able to pull this off. All right, so let's start here. If we start here, we're saying all three of those have to be together. That makes this pretty happy. There are enough tiles available for it to connect to that, but not to anything else. This is not going to be one big sprawling shape. I guess we know this. These things must be lit because that is dark. This is dark. This has to be lit up because the square next to it is lit up. And if that's the case, then this has to be dark. Because if we made it light, it's part of a figure that is 5 squares already, and there's no way to connect it to another yellow number without using up that whole number's allotment of spaces in the process. So, okay, this then has to remain dark because it needs exactly 1 square adjacent to it to be dark. And if that's the case, then this has to be dark because it needs 3 friendly spaces. So then we run into kind of the same thing here where this now has to be lit because if it was dark, it would be connected to a shape that was too big. Which means this technically could still be lit, and then we would have 7 pips in a shape of 7 squares. If we do that, it's going to make things slightly more complicated for this shape up here, I guess. This shape wants to be part of a 4. Okay, so we know this isn't lit, right? Because there's no way the number will break if this connects to there. And actually, same thing over here. So it kind of seems like this is just single lit tile. I mean, single tile. Whether or not it's lit is not, at this moment, hugely important. These 2 tiles are the same. But I guess that doesn't necessarily mean that they're part of the 4 block, because the 4 block could be these 4 squares, right? Actually, no. The 4 block cannot be these 4 squares, because it's already the case that there's no way to fit that shape in over here. It couldn't be lit because given the way we know the darkness sits over here, if it was lit, it would have at least one of its corner tiles here, which connects it to another huge thing that we couldn't replicate up here. And if it's dark, then it just bleeds into this shape and ruins everything. So yeah, this can't be right. And if this square can't be part of the 4, that doesn't leave a lot of other options. These 2 have to be the same, which means that the 4 has to be whatever they are. So, like, it's one of these situations. Oh, wait, but that... Ooh, actually, that's a huge issue. Hold on, I didn't think about that. Because all of these have to be the same. Which means it's extremely problematic if the 4 can't be the same level of litness as these things are. Because it would be then connected to a shape that's already 4. And I guess it has to be... Boy, they're making it look like it has to be this, but... Am I wrong that actually is possible? The way we have this set up, it can be neither lit nor dark. Doesn't seem possible. Alright, I just have another minute left here, so let's really quickly just look at this one more. So if that's like that, what else does that tell us? These 2 things, 2 diamonds might connect to each other, but they might also connect to the lines. The black diamond definitely connects to a black line. Okay, yeah, you know what? Apologies for the somewhat shorter episode. I just do not have these. These are, I think, all going to take a little bit of off-screen figuring time. So... This is really rough. This area is for sure like the challenge area, the beneath the mountain type area. That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When y'all come back next time, I'm going to have at least some solutions for you. We are going to start the next episode with at least some puzzles figured out. But honestly, I think this is this area is going to be really hard to make further progress in if I don't figure something out real quick here. So I guess come back next time to see if I have, and we'll see you then.